What is up, you guys? Alliteration Gaming here today with another video. This time we got a kind of an educational, preparational video. Today we are talking about provisionals and how to get ready for them. We're talking about not provisional promos, but provisional prep. Provisional promo, provisional. A lot of alliteration here, right? As it should be. So anyway, today we're going to be talking about provisionals and how to get ready for them. Specifically, this is going to be a bit of a hybrid video. This is going to be talking about how you should be preparing for webcam tournaments specifically, but also just big tournaments and the specific My Hero Academia provisionals in general. And I kind of just have like a little list of bullet points that I want to go over because the first one is this weekend. If you're watching this as it's coming out, the first big we've had a ton of little webcam events here and there, the webcam weeklies, the Red Riots, the etc. So we've had all the little ones, but this is the first big JASCO provisional regionals with provisional promos and buy cards and all these big cool fancy prizes on the line. This is the first one for the shmoney, right? This is the big one by JASCO themselves, and it is webcam because we still live in a crazy state of the world and they are probably working their butts off on getting in-person events, but for now we have our webcam provisionals, and I personally am not a big fan of the format. I don't like playing over webcam. It feels really impersonal. There's a lot of like little annoying things that you have to keep track of, and I just don't think it's as enjoyable as playing across from an opponent face to face, getting to interact and connect with them in that way that you can only do through playing card games with someone. But regardless, it's the only option available to us right now. So I went and I signed up, and now I'm ready to get my butt kicked in provisionals. So like I said, I have kind of a list of bullet points I want to go over on how you can best get ready for an event like this. So the first thing, this just goes for any kind of event whatsoever, get a good night's sleep. I know how tempting it is and how hard it is to do anything but staying up till 2, 3, 4 a.m. play testing, doing those last minute decisions, and hey, sometimes that's what wins you the event. But as a general basis, if you can get that done beforehand, it's great, so you can get a good night's sleep, wake up early, eat some breakfast, drink some coffee, drink some Monster, whatever it is that keeps you going, right? Register, submit your deck list in time, do all of that jazz. Specifically for this event, there is a specific, so there's an app that you'll download on your phone, and I'm going to leave the links to everything in the description in case you're kind of clueless. You say you've signed up, but you haven't really been paying attention and not really sure what's going on as far as how to, kick the event off, right? There's an app that you download, and you're going to register through there, and you also submit your deck list through UVS Ultra, which is a really, really good deck building website for Universus, and that's also going to count. When you submit your deck list through there, that's also going to count as your registration, essentially. So that is how all that's going to go. And there might be hangups, you might be a little confused in the whole process. So in general, very, very good idea to wake up super early, do whatever you need to do, and have plenty of time to get all of that sorted out. Now, as far as webcam setup itself goes, this is pretty much one of two primary ways that you can set up your webcam. This is basically with the webcam hanging up over my monitor and then looking down from the opposite direction. This is the view that I personally prefer. I know a lot of people will put it like in front of them and then have it kind of like looking down this way from their perspective, so that things aren't like mirrored to the opponent, so that way they see the cards in the right order. But I feel like it's really hard to keep your whole field of view in their hand. It's hard to see your point of view and your opponents at the same time, and it's also really hard to keep your hand. So like the best example is like when I have it like this, I can draw my hand, right? And right now my eyes here, I can very, very, very easily see my hand right here. My opponent can't. Basically, I can even like this, it's really hard for my opponent to figure out what I've got. Like I would have to be like super chillaxed for my opponent to see my cards. Whereas if you have your webcam in front of you and looking down this way, you kind of have to hold your hand really, really awkwardly so that they can't see your cards. So I think this is the easiest way, but ultimately if you can figure out something that works for you, figure out whatever works best for you. This is just how I like to have mine set up, because I feel like I can hold my hand and I can play comfortably. It gives you that really wide scope too, so that you can, because it's really important that your hand is always staying on the table and on view. And if your hands leave the camera view, you need to make sure that they've got nothing in them when they come back in. Not that I think anyone out there is super cheating, but these are just kind of precautions we have to take when we play in a format like this. You just have to be careful about those types of things. And this really, really wide field of view just lets you, very, very much easily lets you play more comfortably and not have to worry about all those minute things that you're doing. And then just make sure that your whole field is very, very, it's very much in the field of view. There's not like, oh, this is clearly a meteor shower. This is clearly a wealthy aspirations. This is clearly an infinite potential, so on and so forth. If someone doesn't know your card, hey, look, there we go. This is a meteor shower. You might not, I don't have the most Mac Daddy camera in the world, but you can definitely make out that's a meteor shower, and you can pretty much read the majority of the text on it. Make sure there's no like awkward like glaring spots, like, oh, hey, look, there's a little bit of glare over here. Let me make sure that I don't, maybe I need to get another light that way and fix that up. Make sure your cards are always very, very visible, very, very viewable. And just gonna make you and your opponent's life a lot easier. And then speaking of knowing cards, please try and have a really, obviously if you're new, this is gonna be tough, and it's just one of the hard things about webcam in general, because if you don't know what my card does, I can just say, oh, well, here you go, and I'll put it in your hands and then you read it, right? Obviously I can't do it over webcam, and if I don't have the greatest camera in the world, it might be really, really, really tough for you to, read all of that and grasp all of that, in the immediate span of things. So try and know what the majority, they were only one set into My Hero, so it's pretty easy to have a general grasp of what all the cards do. But also as far as stuff like, block zones and zones themselves and speed and damage, like cards have so many little stats on them that it is really, really, really hard to keep track of. So a really, really good idea, I think, is to have UVS Ultra, the deck builder we talked about a little bit earlier. You have UVS Ultra up, and if you just need to look up something, you need to double check what a block zone is, what a speed is, what an attack zone is, stuff like that. Just have that stuff ready, just have that database really, really quick ready. Definitely don't be that guy that's just like, UVS Ultraing every single card and making things, the slowest experience in the world. But, you want to just kind of have that reference for yourself for those niche scenarios, like, oh, hey, I don't remember, does Keen Observation have a 2 high or a 3 high block, right? Just really, really random stuff like that might factor into how you go throughout your turn. So just have that ready, so that way you can bring up anything without it being a huge boon to the speed, the flow, and the pacing of the gameplay, right? Next is life. So how are we gonna check life? Most people that I've seen on webcams just take their phone, grab a little app like this, set it within the field of view, and then boom, it's cool, right? Perfectly fine. And yeah, that's pretty much fine as long as you and your opponent can both see it and are both keeping track of everything that's going on, everything's being vocalized really well. If you really, really, really want to be a stickler, not even a stickler, because that kind of has like a bad connotation to it, but if you just really, really want to be careful, I think even, keep a ye old pen and paper and track down every change and, as it goes. So that way, in case something, maybe your phone dies or like, something comes up and maybe your app crashes, you can remember where everyone is and how they got there. I've done this I've always brought pen and paper for tracking life anyway, for any big event that I've gone to where the game I play has life totals, because I think it's just always better safe than sorry for that kind of stuff. Another thing is have your sideboard ready. In my sideboard right here, I know what it is, I know every card in it, I know why they're in there, and I know what I'm going to side out and what I'm going to side in depending on matchups. Knowing your matchups in this game is so important. So have your sideboard ready. Have a sideboard fine-tuned to the matchups and the characters that you struggle with, or if there's just cards you need to get out of your deck in certain matchups, just have good sides ready for them. The sideboard is like such an integral piece of the competitive gameplay experience in games like this, and sideboarding in this game feels so good, and it can help you in so many certain situations, and it's just sideboarding in this game is amazing. Have your sideboard ready, and try and have a good idea of what you want to side where, so once again you can kind of keep up the speed and pace of things. And I don't necessarily mean that only in like a, hey, don't be rude and be slowing things down because it's annoying. I genuinely mean that in the best interest of both players, because one of your biggest opponents in any big event, especially for a long game like this, and for a webcam event, because everything is just going to take a little longer because it's webcam and not in person, the clock is one of your biggest enemies. We are not getting 2 hours to play every single round here. If you're gonna go to game 3, like, you really need to be speeding through these games if you're gonna end up going to game 3 and not end up in a tie or losing a time or something like that. So making sure that you can just do everything you need to do and go through all of your gameplay patterns and just everything whatsoever really, really, really fast. It's just super duper important. Losing a time is one of the most frustrating things ever. I hate what happens to me. I hate when time affects my gameplay. It's really, 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 really frustrating. But it's just a part of big events, and it's an even bigger part of webcam events. And it's just something we have to deal with until, in-person events are something that's safer and also more feasible infrastructure-wise as well. And really that just all kind of culminates into the last final point is just study. Study, 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 study. Watch as many meta videos as you can. Watch the meta breakdowns. You know, watch the meta talks. Watch the tier list videos. Consume it. We have so many cool people making content for the Hero Academia card game right now that it is so easy to consume. It is so easy to consume so much content right now, and a lot of it is very, very competitive focused, and it's very, very much focused towards preparing you for these types of events and getting you ready and bestowing the knowledge upon you. You know, Tony2 Iowa the Boat just put out a really sick like 2-hour VOD for one of his streams where he just goes over defense as a whole. Tamron Cardwell, Tam has so many, you know, all of his Tam talks are so good at getting you ready. And getting you prepared for what's to come in events like these. Unfun stuff, Chris Bromley is really seasoned veteran player, has a lot of really cool content. Like there's so many creators right now that are doing stuff like this that there is no excuse. There's no excuse to not be there's no excuse to be uninformed and to be unprepared for these types of things. And that just goes into every facet of playing in a competitive event, a big event, a webcam event, you know, all of the above, right? Know your cards, know your opponent's cards, know what's coming. This really, like, this game in a way really is a lot like the Art of War. You know, it's very much, you know, a large portion of the battle is won before it even begins. Like knowing what block zones to hold, knowing what zones your opponent's going to throw at you, knowing what attacks are coming your way. Like, foresight is really everything in this game, and it really goes a long way towards helping you compete in one of these really long events. And these events are going to be long. Like that's if you've never played in like a big competitive event before, you know, be it in person or webcam, these things can go a really long time. You know, we're talking, you know, what, 8 rounds of Swiss, you know, practically 1 hour per round. You know, we're going to be ending pretty late at night, so make sure not only have a really good breakfast, have some lunch ready, be drinking plenty of water. Like I said, you know, no matter like, you know, coffee, Monster, whatever gets you going, drink plenty of water too. Make sure you're always, you know, hydrated. Have some, you know, some granola bars, some snacks, you know, some chips, you know, like I said, whatever keeps your brain flowing, because again, this is a very hard game. I cannot play this game on an empty stomach. It is literally a nightmare. I always have to bring the appropriate nutrition when I'm going, even when I'm just going through like 4-round locals, man. I feel completely drained by the end of it. So I know that a huge event itself is going to be very taxing on me and a lot of other players as well. So guys, those are kind of all my bullet points, and this is not like a super long video. This is not like a huge, you know, meta breakdown or whatever. You know, knowing the meta is an important part of this, but I really just wanted to talk about all the things that come into going into a big event in general, because I know this game has a lot of newcomers to the trading card game hobby as a whole, and y'all might not have participated in such events like this. So I wanted to kind of just put some information out there, just a very brief overview of things that you should be expecting and should be ready for come the first provisional tournament this weekend. And aside from that, guys, let's get excited, man. Let's get excited. This is so awesome. We get to play this super awesome card game in this super cool, big, awesome event with all of these cool prizes and future buy cards and interest and stuff on the line. And man, I wish y'all could see the biggest smile on my face right now. I'm so excited at what's to come with this event and any future events. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next video, or possibly this weekend in the provisionals. Take it easy, guys.